Greetings and welcome to episode 21 of Inside the Video Store. Welcome back. It's a bit of a hot box in here today. We have certainly one of the hottest days of the summer so far in the UK, which is perfectly average temperatures in America and places like that. But for some reason, as soon as it gets anything above 21 degrees centigrade in Britain, we tend to fry. So yeah, a bit of a hot box in here, so I might not last that long, but we shall see. Again, it's been a fantastic week in store. New people coming in day after day after day, which is fantastic to see. Really good people as well, really sort of people who are buying into the whole concept and kind of making this very much a community store where everybody is here to help each other and recommend films and suggest films and things like that, which is absolutely fantastic. So we've got a few bits to talk about. Got a few deliveries in, which are full of interesting bits and bobs. We have a comment request which wants me to go through a few British films, which I look forward to doing a bit later. But for now, we'll kick off with the new arrivals. And it's an interesting week of new arrivals, to be honest. There are no contemporary releases. I think there might have been one or two very minor films, but they weren't anything that justified any kind of outlay. And thus didn't suggest that they would recoup any investment. So kind of, you make the hard decision. And unfortunately, I don't think it was worth purchasing anything that came out this week, but we got a fairly big week of newbies. Next, I think First Omen is out, for example, and a couple of other bits and bobs that are kind of box office films. So yeah, save a bit of money for next week. But otherwise, we've got still a good stack to look at of the new releases. And yeah, finally, we have two Warner Archive releases I ordered a fair few weeks ago. I don't know what's going on there with Amazon, but I've kind of learned my lesson to order directly from Warner Archive themselves. It's going to save time, isn't it? And it's not necessarily time. It's not like I'm missing out on a fortune when these don't come in. But I like certainties, and when I put a new film is due in on social media, I like the new film to come in because people do pay attention, and it does. Whatever I post on social media tends to have an immediate impact. So it seems crazy to post stuff that isn't appearing for 4 weeks. But anyway, these are they. We have Jimmy Cadney and George Raft in Each Dawn I Die, which looks like a prison-based drama. I've not seen it before, personally, but it looks absolutely fantastic. Any Jimmy Cadney film is great. 1939 it comes from, so that's pretty cool. Excuse me. We also have Alfred Hitchcock Stage Fright. I must admit, this isn't a Hitchcock film I'm overly familiar with. I've seen most Hitchcock films a couple of times, but this one I've only seen once because of Jane Wyman, Marlene Dietrich, Michael Wilding, Richard Todd. A good film from what I remember, and I think I might have it. No, I just have it on DVD at the moment. So yeah, it's a handy upgrade, and as usual, it brings the sleepless night of whether to include it in the Hitchcock section or the Warner Archive section, but I think this will be going straight into the Warner Archive section because it just belongs there. So yeah, but glad to get those two in. It kind of been nagging at me a little bit, the fact that they've just been lingering on my order history. So all this next six are all out a couple of days ago, this week on Monday. And we have Jodorowsky's Santa Sangre. Now, I've had this on DVD for quite some time, the old Anchor Bay edition. And I must admit, I don't think anyone's ever rented it. A wonderful film though it is. Yeah, I think someone's rented Holy Mountain in the past. And maybe El Topo once or twice. But Jodorowsky doesn't exactly get people flocking in. But having said that, this edition is particularly special. I mean, it cost a fair fortune, which is fair enough. But you do get a 4-disc special edition where we have a dual format of UHD and Blu-ray. Sorry, I've got a bit of hay fever, so excuse the sniffing. I haven't just been doing lines of coke in the toilet or anything like that. Not today, anyway. Then we have a CD, and we have a disc of special features. So that's a pretty cool set, to be honest. And like I say, this disc of special features is absolutely stacked with documentaries and featurettes and wonderful bits and bobs with people like Simon Boswell and Aidan Jodorowsky, and yeah, just absolutely fantastic. So I'll interview with Claudio Argento as well. So yeah, that's an excellent edition. So I've got a few people interested in that. So irrespective of how well the DVD might have done, I do think that a Blu-ray release can unleash a whole new interest in a certain film, and I do believe that that will be one of them. Michael Reeves had a rather short career, as you probably know, so it's good to get Revenge of the Blood Beast in, which is the latest film from Raro Video, the Italian label, who have been helped into the UK by Radiance. Great to see as well. I mean, they've already released several really cool films into the UK, like The Boss, Murder Obsession, Gang War in Milan, Night of the Devils, and Death Occurred Last Night. So it'll be great to add that one to them, although I can't really put this in the Italian section, can I? Strictly. Oh, I probably can. But yeah, so yeah, that is that. Revenge of the Blood Beast. And The Pleasure is our old friend Joe D'Amato. Always good to get one of his films in. This is written by Claudio Fragasso, who we all know from directing the wonderful Troll 2. This is kind of late period Joe D'Amato, 1985. Looks to me like a bit of a costume drama with plenty of rabid and rampant sexuality. I'm kind of torn whether to get this film in, because it's a little bit pointless, really, isn't it? Because I have this edition over here, which is the Tempe. This is the Tempe edition on the left, which of course is signed by J.R. Buckwalter and the director John Killow, which far outweighs this 88 films release. But then we're kind of caught in, I mean, look at the artwork on that, brilliant. We're kind of caught in FOMO territory, aren't we? Because this is Slasher Classics Collection 51, and having got the first 50, you kind of think, well, do I miss out on 51 just because I have it here? Yeah. So yeah, bit of a silly purchase, but it's one of those where you just feel as though you have to maintain that collection. Because when I die, someone will come in here and sell a whole lot of one unit. So we have to protect their investment. But no, it's good. I mean, if you had to get if you had to get 2 copies of any backwoods horror in, then it would be Skinned Alive. It's a brilliant film. I do enjoy it, and of course it's produced by David Okoto. So enough said. Night of the Big Heat I had in on DVD, which I think was put out by Odeon, who of course the guys at 88 Films used to work for back in the day. I see they've been pretty much mining a lot of Odeon's catalogue recently, which is great, because this is a fun film with, fun as in much as ecological disasters can be, but a fun film with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. I caught it recently on Talking Pictures TV. And it was great to watch. I do like it. It's great to see these guys sort of cast against type and not in the traditional Dracula, Frankenstein, etc. roles. And of course, finally here we have the latest from 101. Not a massive fan of 101, for which reasons I shan't go into. But this film is one of my favourite films of all time. I think if I compiled my top 20, which I will never do because it's constantly evolving, then Glengarry Glen Ross will be in there, I would say, because it's just a fantastic piece of cinema. David Mamet is one of my favourite screenwriters. I think he's an absolute genius. And yeah, it is. The dialogue in this is just, it's second to none. It really is. It's absolutely superb. So yeah, pleased to get Glengarry Glen Ross in a really good edition and on Blu-ray. And yeah, that is this week's brand new releases. Let's stick these over here. Let me get some water. Okay. So what do I got next? Should we do On Loan next? It's time. Cool. Okay, let's see what's been on loan. Interesting mix as always. I I think that this is a bit of a rarity now. Certainly it was. This is in the first batch of Arrow releases, well, second batch back in. Yeah, if you remember, the first batch of Arrow releases was kind of the weird cover Aerodrome, wasn't it? Wasn't it Aerodrome? I'm sure I've got a couple around here somewhere. Needless to say, they are not making themselves known, which is kind of standard in this circumstance. There we go. Tokyo Decadence, which I think has just come out from '88. But yeah, we had the old Aerodrome release. Remember that artwork back in the day? What year was that? 2011, so 13 years ago. So that was the first incarnation of cult Aerodrome. And then we had the old white box kind of situation, which was the same year, 2011. This, of course, is long deleted, I would say. I haven't checked the price on eBay, I don't know. But as far as I'm aware, it is a bit of a rarity now. Great film. I do love this film. Linda Blair is on fire. And it was great to see this being rented out this week. And yeah, the artwork is just sublime, isn't it? Absolutely sublime. So cool. Sticking with Arrow, we had a new customer in this week from Manchester. For context, Manchester is about a 40-minute drive away from the store. In America, that's effectively round the block, but in this country, it's pretty much crossing continents. But yeah, so this guy is up on the whirl every couple of weeks, so he's going to rent every 3 or 4 weeks and then post them back once he's done, which is fine for me. I've never been tempted to enter into rental by post. It just doesn't appeal to me. I want people to come in and browse. That's the essential thing that has to happen. But if they want to post them back, if they're a long way away, then they're welcome to post them back. But they do have to rent them physically. They do have to rent them face to face. So yeah, I mean, he rented Umberto Lenzi's Nightmare City, which is absolutely wonderful. Just a perfect bit of Italian exploitation cinema. I'm sure you will agree. What do we got next? This is a tricky one. This is a lovely young couple that come in and they kind of wanted something with a bit of a twist, something a little bit unusual, and I do like Sam Raimi, and this is one of his films that does kind of still float under the radar to a degree. And it's a really good film. I mean, the cast is ridiculous, and Kate Blanchett, Giovanni Ribisi, Keanu Reeves, Katie Holmes, Ken Dickens, Greg Kinnear, Hilary Swank, and it's good. It's good. I haven't seen it for a number of years, but from what I remember, this was an excellent film. So it's good to see that renting out. A bit of a classic going out here, bit of Gene Kelly and Lana Turner and the Three Musketeers. Always good to see some classics renting out. I've got one of my fixtures on one side is all Golden Age classic films. I do love to see films from that era renting out. It's probably not the most rented section of the store, but it is still relatively popular. And it's important to have that choice. You know, where people who want to see the early films, want to see the stars of the Golden Age, be it Jimmy Cagney or Jimmy Stewart or Burt Lancaster, then they've got a place to go so they can really sort of get a good idea of what kind of films those actors made. With Bong Joon-ho, I think pretty much the most popular films that rent out of his are either The Host or Parasite. And certainly Memories of Murder, now that that's in a really swanky edition from Curzon Film. Mother, probably less so, unfortunately, but it's still an absolutely perfect piece of Asian cinema. It's absolutely wonderful film. And it's good to see that one finally going out as well. I must admit, it's lagging behind his other films, but including Snowpiercer. But it's a great film. It's a great film. Another Hitchcock film here that I'm not that well up on. Again, seen it once, but I don't think I've seen it probably for about 20 years. Is Lifeboat. I do love this edition from Masters of Cinema in this dual format steelbook. Not a fan of steelbooks in general, just with durability. Because the second someone is kind of peeling this out from the shelves and they drop it, and it's not very robust. And of course, if any one of these gets dropped, I can replace it in a heartbeat. But if a steelbook gets dropped, not much I can do about that, which is a bit annoying. But yeah, so yeah, good to see that going out, because it's not the most popular Hitchcock in terms of renting. That would be maybe The Birds or Psycho, I would say. Another new customer came in this week, up on the train from Ellesmere Port. A lovely young man called Nathan, and he likes a bit of Jacques Tati, and I don't see where you could go wrong with Jacques Tati, one of the funniest guys who've ever lived. All of his films are absolute masterpieces. If you ask me which one I would go for, it would probably be Playtime, which I think, if you watch it today, so many years after it was made, it is remarkably topical with today's society. Really interesting. But yeah, Jacques Tati is certainly a man before his time. And it's great to see Mon Oncle renting out. And it's so cool for the BFI to have released these on a dual format edition quite a few years ago. Finally, I think we're one short actually. Doesn't matter. Finally, in the new releases, finally in the on loans, we have one from my favourite section, which is British obscurities that fell within a hair's breadth of either side of the millennium. Always a tongue twister. And this one out, which is Virtual Sexuality, which is a really cool film. Probably today it would be quite dated, but still, it's a. I would quite like to go and watch this again, because when I saw it when it first came out, it was good fun, and I'd be interested to see how it held up today. But I think that someone asked for it. Someone asked for Virtual Sexuality, which kind of took me by surprise yesterday. But I'm really pleased about that, because that is very good indeed. Okay, that's those. What's next? Shall we open some post? Shall we? Let's. Okay, got some here already open. We have again. I know I sound like a broken record saying this. I don't want to go into politics too much, but I'm very much of the belief that a building like this is very much everybody's. I may be the guy who sits here, 6 days a week, 52 weeks a year, but this is pretty much everybody's, and I do try and run it like a cooperative most of the time, whereby everybody feels as though they're invested in the success of the place, and everybody has a part to play in the success of the place. And by success, I mean success equals the ability to go and buy more films and get a bigger range and buy more UHDs and stuff like that, thus increasing what people have, what's on offer to people to rent. So by people having more of a say, I mean, just come up with stuff. I mean, giving me suggestions and pointing out holes in the catalogue and things like that. And I always like to listen to people who point out stuff that we haven't got, or I haven't got, because it's really important. I am not the Yoda of physical media. And, although I've built this over the last 20, 25 years, there are still many little aspects of which someone can come in and say, well, to be honest, Dave, you could do with going down this rabbit hole and getting a few films here, or by this guy, or by this lady, or by in this genre, and that kind of thing. And similarly with films that have maybe just been out 20, 25 years ago that I just haven't got in, that deserve a place here, because it is one of the last places in the world with a rentable library. And it should have certainly the most comprehensive, well, one of the most comprehensive selections ongoing. I know this isn't the best example, but again, someone came in and said, have you got the Peacemaker, the Mimi Leder film? And I said, no. I said, yeah, let's go and get that in. So it did, which is great. But it's so important to get other people's recommendations. And I got loads this week, a few things that we might see some in the packets here. But it's really good that people can kind of feel as though they can suggest things and that kind of thing. And it is really, really welcome. It is really, really welcome for people to do that. I do enjoy it, because it's about, we're a team, and everyone should work together and try and create the best possible rental library. And then everyone benefits, don't they? Everyone benefits. Everyone benefits. A few VHS tapes in this week that you might be interested in. Big fan of Philip Roth, who of course had quite a career in say sci-fi channel movies and stuff like that. This is one of his early films, Prototype. Not available on DVD in this country, as far as I'm aware. But yeah, really happy to get that one in. You may know that me and Matthew Bedrevich write extensively on the erotic thrillers of the 1990s. And this is one of the most important ones. And I was really happy to get this on VHS. Obviously, no DVD has ever been seen of this. It's Carnal Crimes by Gregory Dark, one of the pivotal figures, one of the giants in the erotic thriller movement. This was his first erotic thriller, his first, well, one of his real breakaway films from hardcore pornography. Of course, he did The Devil and Miss Jones 3. Remarkable film. But yeah, this was great. This was a really cool film starring Martin Hewitt and Linda Carroll, who's got quite an interesting background. We did a podcast about this as well, so if you want to check out our podcast, you can check out Flesh Noir. I think it's episode 4 or 5 is Gregory Dark. But yeah, if you need the link, I'll try and post it below in the comment section. But yeah, really cool to have this in. It's so sad that so many of the erotic thrillers haven't yet made the leap to DVD or Blu-ray, because they really deserve to. I know it's a funny world we live in now, where we don't like to have any nudity on screen or anything like that. But yeah, anyway, another one, The Goddess, Shannon Tweed, Indecent Behaviour. Had to purchase this. I'm trying to pick up all the erotic thrillers from that era, because, like I said, I don't think we'll ever see them on any other format. So if I don't get them on tape, then they're kind of just lost forever, really, aren't they? But yeah, Shannon Tweed and Gary Hudson, what a pair. So that, no pun intended. And this film, I don't think it's showed you this one last week, but I'm really excited to get this film in. This film's from 1998, originally called Killers. It's not the Mike Mendez film from 1997. This is from a year later, 1998, and was one of the first ever films from The Asylum, directed by the main man, David Michael Latt. And it's a pretty decent film, to be honest. I know it says in the tradition of Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs on the cover, as everything did, between 1995 and 1998. But I think it's just because it's set in a warehouse, they kind of put that badge on it. But yeah, just kind of like not going too heavy into the VHS, but just quite keen to curate a little library of films that just aren't available elsewhere. Just got to check the time. Yeah, we're okay. Next up, this is a crazy box. Always on the lookout for Jim Wynorski themed stuff. This is Mega Lizard. Film is in my DVD player. It's not actually Mega Lizard, it's called Curse of the Komodo. I think about 2004. But yeah, I think these boxes at that's the size compared to an average DVD. I don't know where I'm going to put it. I can't fit it on any of my shelves. But yeah, still, it's pretty cool to get this. It's kind of like a, what is it? Just kind of like a hard box, would you call it? I don't know what the terminology is for it. Ridiculously oversized case, but still, nevertheless, it's quite a cool little oddity to have in the library. And yeah, that's Jim Wynorski's Curse of the Komodo. What have we got here? A few discs and a few tapes, I think. But yeah, this past week seems to have been pretty much a steady stream of new stuff arriving in, which is nice, Like I said, it's always good to try and get bits and bobs in. Now, this was mentioned. This is a real rarity. It's a real rarity. I mentioned about Town and Country the other week and having I'm not going to do it, but having a section like box office failures that deserve a second look. And here we have Ishtar, which is ridiculously out of print in this country. Thankfully, I managed to jump on a copy of a DVD that was not cheap, but less expensive than some people are asking. Some people are asking upwards of £30 for this. But yeah, this is the UK edition. Hopefully it's in good condition, mint condition. Really cool to get it in. Obviously a massive flop at the box office. It's Charles Grodin, Warren Beatty, and of course written and directed by Elaine May. That was another of Elaine May's films, isn't it? That's just completely in purgatory and not facing any kind of physical release. I forget the name of it, you'll know it. But it's a real shame because she is a fantastic director, irrespective of the reputation that this film may carry. But I'm looking forward to this, and I'm thrilled to have this in. It's really, really cool. Let's see what's in here. This looks like an import. Oh, it's an Alibris. So I think we're looking at a creature feature of some kind, because I know I put an order in for about, must be 8 or so. No, we have another Phoenician Entertainment film. Phoenician Entertainment, kind of an offshoot of Royal Oaks, kind of an Andrew Stevens, Asha Kamratraj thing. Bit of a loose disc inside, so we have a few minor scratches inside. But yeah, this is a really cool disc. Artisan, who put these out, made really cool discs of the Phoenician Entertainment films. You got director's commentary by Roddy McDonald and a few other bits and bobs. Good cast: Ice-T, James Russo, and it's a good little hardware movie from around about 2000, I think. But yeah, glad to have that one. I think it's pretty much region locked, unfortunately, so I don't think I'll be able to rent it out. But I'll take it home and stick it on the old PS5 and see if it churns it back out. What do we got here? Yeah, again. See, this is, again, displays the wonderful usefulness of customers coming forward and saying, do you know you should really have this in stock because I can't find it? Or check your database and you don't have this in stock. I think it would be a really good renter. And this is another one. Sometimes you just presume you've got films. If they're a popular film, you just presume you have them. But often you don't. Because sometimes the most obvious films are the ones you don't think about. Like this, Hamburger Hill. I mean, Hamburger Hill is so obvious. If you gave me a piece of paper and said, Dave, open a movie rental store with 5,000 titles, give me 5,000 titles, this would be one that I would name. But I didn't have it here because you just presume you've got it. But yeah, so really cool to get this in. John Irvin's film. Of course, what a pedigree. But yeah, this is great. So really pleased to have this in. And this, I would guess, is a VHS in rather elaborate packaging. Trying to think what it could be. Did order a few bits and bobs. I may have to attack this with scissors, as it is. Ooh, yeah, I'm far too weak. Definitely gonna have to take a trip down to the gym, like I've ever seen the inside of a gym in my entire life. Absolutely not. Jeez. I must admit, like, kind of eBay purchases either fall into two brackets. They come in either flimsy brown envelopes with no padding at all, or they come in sort of bomb-safe packaging, which is cool. You do have to admire people that put that much effort into packaging. I must admit, I am one of those, to be honest. I do have one of those gigantic rolls of bubble wrap, and I tend to wrap it sort of 17 times. What the hell is this? Oh yeah, kind of an annoying purchase really. I've got a number of films in here, but I was desperate for a copy of Snakehead Terror. Probably the only person in the country that was desperate for a copy of Snakehead Terror. And yeah, it was only available in this triple feature box set from Anchor Bay, which is now out of print. This here. But thankfully, when you look inside, we have Snakehead Terror, which brilliant. Well, I like it. It's a good sci-fi, as in SYFY, original feature from about 2004, is it, with Bruce Boxleitner, directed by Paul Ziller, who of course is one of the most regular sci-fi directors, and of course it's paired with the excellent Deadly Swarm, which is a good Cinetel film, and then of course we have Jim Wynorski's Gargoyle's Revenge, which I have in anyway, via a Blu-ray copy, but I may just have to give a couple of those away. But still, Snakehead Terror is in. That's the important one, and I'm pleased about that. And yeah, I think that is this week's What's in the Box. And should we have a look at some British films? Well, let's do the comments first, and that would put it in context. Yeah, it's been quite a busy week for comments, to be honest. Quite a few of you had a few things to say, which is great. I do love a good week for comments. Let's have a look. We Can Rebuild Him blog says that Johnny Handsome, which of course I got in last week, is in the Imprint Walter Hill box, which is really cool. Great label, Imprint. The only hassle is it's hard to get them cheap. You know, I got in Paul Newman film, Nobody's Fool, and Billy Friedkin film, the basketball one. Forgot the name of it. Nick Nolte. No, but still, you're paying 30 quid, which is a lot for a small little business. So you know, great to see these films coming out via Imprint, but it's difficult to get them in this country for a relatively good price. If you know a cheat, if you know a good way to get Imprint releases fairly cheaply, if anyone does them on a sale, maybe Diabolic does them on a sale perhaps, please let me know, because I'd love to stock more Imprint Blu-rays, because they are region free most of the time. Or I think Aussie, is Australia the same region as UK for Blu-ray? Is it region B? Could well be. But yeah, let me know if there's a cheat around getting some cheap Imprint Blu-rays, because I'd love to have a little Imprint section, because they do release some excellent films. Skulder says, time flies when you're having fun and watching Inside the Video Store. Thank you very much. I have not watched Abigail yet. Was thinking of leaving it till October. I must admit, the people that rented Abigail this week do think it's pretty good, and I think universally the Blu-ray and DVD have been out quite a few times in the last 10 days, and yeah, I'd say pretty much everyone is really happy with it. Everyone likes it. Everyone has got a bit out of it, so that's really cool. Yeah, Skulder says Blu-ray is adequate and not everything needs to be on 4K. I do abide by that. I know people are very sort of keen for everything to be on 4K, but I can't justify it. I think that some things deserve just to be on DVD. You know, we do not need a Blu-ray of 3 Wicked Witches by David Dakota. DVD is perfectly adequate for that film. But similarly, if you are releasing Blowout, the Brian De Palma film, then 4K UHD is essential for that film. It's one of the best shot films. You know, we need the best format, but you know, we need to be more, I don't know, picky with that kind of thing. Suddenly, yeah, Skulder says all his video players have stopped working. That's a shame, isn't it? But he can't see himself going below DVD quality. Yeah, I understand that, but I've seen a few tapes this week, and I don't know, I do like watching a tape, and I know it's annoying. I was watching one the other day, and it kept on flickering, and it kept on going to blue screen because it couldn't get the connection, and it was a bit annoying. But some of these films, you know, I can only watch them on video. I'm sure there are ways and means using the dark art of burning them on a disc, but I don't know. While the video is still alive, then I might as well use it. Carl says, awesome upload as always. The Assassin was one of the early 90s films that helped enrich my love for worldwide cinema. He's right. You know, we got The Assassin in for the first time last week, Point of No Return, wasn't it? And he said that, you know, by watching The Assassin, he went back and saw the Luc Besson film, Nikita. And you do that. You watch a fairly well done remake of a foreign language film, and it does take you back to watch the original version. So it's funny how it can have the reverse effect. Although it's an American remake, it does often make you go back and look at the original, so you can really indulge in some great foreign language cinema. Paul Barron says he loves the riffing format. It's all right, isn't it? You know, it's a bit more relaxed and it's less rigid. We can kind of play about with it a bit. He says that Monster Pictures released many titles in Australia, and yeah, including Excision, which is one he really loved, and I really loved that too. And Starry Eyes. I mean, Starry Eyes here was released by... Who released that? Yeah, it wasn't Monster Pictures in this country. It was Metrodome. Ah, the dearly departed Metrodome. Great film. Great film. But yeah, Paul says Star Eyes released by Monster in Australia, but it was, yeah, it was an Aussie label, and they did release some really cool films. It's still going, but I think they're digital only now. Dr. Impossible Counterpunk says he was looking through his MGM limited editions on MOD, and he mentioned to me that Milton Kitsella's Report to the Commissioner was there. He said it's a rather gritty and decent police corruption film, and it is. It's a very, very good film. I've got it here. It's quite annoying it's never got more publicity. It's funny, I was transcribing an essay, an interview for the Gary Graver book. Our co-writer, Andy Rausch, had interviewed this guy who was the production designer on Report to the Commissioner. He'd interviewed him about Gary Graver, but for another project he was working on, he said, can I ask you a few questions about Report to the Commissioner? And so luckily I was able to transcribe this guy's recollections of doing all a production design for a Report to the Commissioner. And it was just fascinating, absolutely fascinating to listen to this guy try and curate an unbelievably seedy nightclub in LA to echo the style of the New York seedy nightclubs from the late 70s, early 80s. It was amazing hearing his experiences of sort of learning about that culture and learning about those really depraved night spots in New York City where like drugs were so just everywhere, done so publicly and all that kind of thing, and really, really interesting. So ever since then, Report to the Commissioner has kind of been quite a spectacular find. Again, one that I just had in because I'm a big Michael Moriarty fan. But when I heard that and when I watched the film, I thought, wow, this is just one of the great sort of films that has never really entered the public consciousness. And maybe one day it can have a really great Blu-ray edition. But yeah, very cool indeed. Yeah, Tom Jolliffe came up with something quite interesting. He said that I don't think people appreciate that there's a young demographic of cinephiles showing interest in classic and cult cinema. And he's very right. We tend to be, people my age can be a bit, 34. People my age can be a bit gatekeeperish with regard to physical media, and physical media, it's our thing. Physical media, no one younger, young kids, or Netflix, blah blah blah. But no, certainly from what I've learned in the past 12 months is that there is a rabid army of young people, aged between 18 and 25, who are desperate to get into physical media and are really, really going headfirst into it. The amount of young customers I got here in the age bracket who have binned their streaming services and are just watching movies from here is quite remarkable, and it's fantastic to see. And I think sometimes we are guilty of ignoring that generation, writing them off as being purely obsessed with streaming, when actually they're not. I think there's a very lazy portion of the population who are over 40, who have got Netflix, and that's it. They're happy with that. I've got people in the next street and that street opposite and that street there who know I'm here, who know that the second one of only 2 video shops in the whole country is literally on the doorstep, but they will happily stay home and resolutely watch Netflix or rent films off Sky Go or rent films off Prime and not come in here because they're happy doing that and paying the big conglomerates that don't pay any tax and doing that, and they're happy doing that. They want to do that, and they're fine. They want to support a local business, which is fine. That's fine by me. Everyone's free to do whatever they want. But those people have been replaced by young people, aged 18 to 25, 18 to 30, who want physical media, who want weird and wonderful, great films on Blu-ray and DVD. So yeah, more power to them, really. But yeah, let's not write them off, and instead let's focus on the people, on our peers who are the same age, people the same age as us, who have become lazy, and just rely on streaming. They're the people who are really causing sort of the demise of the video shop. They're the people who were there back in the day, 10, 15 years ago, and said, "Nah, I don't want to go to video shops anymore. I want to stay at home. I want to stay at home and stick Netflix on." They're the people who caused the demise of video shops, not the young generation. So we should have nothing but respect to the young generation who are coming out and are really interested in keeping a player at home, be it their Xbox, be it the PS5, be it the PS4, be it a DVD or Blu-ray player. They're the people who are really ambitious and want to learn about film history. It's the people our age that have got lazy. So yeah, the young people, they're the cool ones. Moving on. Yeah, Sean says, Dave, where would one start on British horror post-2000? I'm glad you asked that, Sean. Let's have a look. Now, a lot of photos for the store. It's quite funny. I put a photo, 3 photos up on a Facebook group this week. You know, Facebook, the algorithm is kind of a bit bent, isn't it, really? The stuff they throw in your face that you aren't really interested in. But, you know, it's the nature of the beast, I know. And they kept on shoving this Facebook group on my feed called the Video Store Back Rooms. I don't know what it's about, but hey, video store, got a back room. So right, let's join it. So I thought, well, you know, people might be interested, so a few pics, put it on Video Store Back Rooms, and it just went absolutely mental for 2 days. My phone just like literally a flaming ball of plastic and chips. Yeah, I think we've got about like 5,000 likes in 48 hours, about 300 comments, people asking where the store was, how they had come in, why I exist, kind of wanting to know why and how, and Jesus, just what's going on. So that was quite cool, sort of answering all those responses. It got shared a ridiculous amount of times. So funnily enough, it's been a really powerful tool to get the place better known, and I think I might have about a dozen or so new people coming in over the next week or so to have a look round, who have never been in and never heard of the place, who live quite locally, just because of this weird Facebook group that appeared on my feed that had nothing to do with me. So, you know, we slam Zuckerberg, but he may have actually done something quite handy for this little place. But yeah, most of the pictures that I take of this store kind of have this angle shooting into this corner. It's quite a very eye-catching corner, isn't it? Really, because you got wall-to-wall films, ceiling to floor, interesting titles, and but it always catches this sign here, which is post-millennium British horror. Now, back in the day, when I used to order films for the store, obviously, from my supplier, back when there was a supplier. And even though the internet existed, IMDb existed, it was a challenge because a lot of British films never got reviewed. A lot of British films never got touched by all the standard screener facilitated websites like, I don't know, Nerdly and places like that. So what you'd find, you would be wanting to order a copy of a film for the store. You'd go on the IMDb page, but there would be no critic reviews, and you think that's really annoying. Why aren't people reviewing these films? And most of the time there would be British indie horror films, and I thought that's really annoying. Someone should be doing that. And I thought, well, I've never written anything in my life, well, apart from a history degree and all that. Anyway, I've never written anything film related in my life, so I thought, well, why don't I start putting a few thoughts down on British sort of horror films from the post-millennium era. And that kind of just took off, really. You know, you can read them all on our website, theschlockpit.com. They're still there from 10, 15 years ago. And it just became a really passionate obsession, really. I love indie British horror films. And I know most people who come to this corner and crouch down and look at this section here below me kind of are a little bit bewildered, and as as Sean rightly says, where do you even begin? Well, I thought I'll pick 10 films out here from this post-millennium British horror section that are all, they might be obscure, you might know them quite well, but either way, they're not the 10 best, they're just 10 that have caught my eye before I pressed record on the camera. There's better here, but these are all really, really good. First one I picked was the Dominic Brunt film, Bait. Just a really cool revenge film set in Yorkshire. Dominic Brunt, of course, you may know from a British soap opera by the name of Emmerdale. He turned into a really cool directing career. He did this as well, a film called Before Dawn, which was a really great zombie movie. And both of those, Bait and Before Dawn, are both excellent parts of this British horror section. I like this one as well. I think this was a Northern Irish film, wasn't it? Might be completely wrong. But it's directed by a Northern Irish man, a guy by the name of Leo McGuigan. It's a little bit lengthy, an hour and 50 when it doesn't really need to be, but it's a really, really good British slasher movie. Late period, 2016. But I really liked it. I thought it was really cool, called Braxton Butcher. I raved about it on our website, and nobody else did, quite frankly, but I don't care, because I thought it was a very good film indeed. Next we've got, I like this a great deal, called the Casebook of Eddie Brewer. Now this, I think, was only available from the distributor, but it's a great film, really creepy, about a sort of ghost paranormal investigator by the name of Eddie Brewer. I got really friendly with the guy who plays the character, a great little character actor called Ian Brooker. We exchanged lots of emails over the years. That's a great little British horror film. This is a bleak and depressing one, very much in the same vein as Eden Lake. This is called Cherry Tree Lane. I liked it a great deal. It is a bit of a grim one, but it's one that I frequently pull out for people who are curious what to get. Changing subgenres, we have not that one. We have a really cool Scottish-based zombie movie called The Dead Outside, which I really do like. It's kind of one of those barren Scottish zombie movies. Not perfect, like many of these films aren't, but I think it's a really good effort. But that's it with these indie films. You're either into indie horror with all its flaws, or you're not. And I am, and I like this one. It's called The Devil's Business. Very much like a chamber piece, to be honest. Could almost be a play. But I liked it. I thought it was excellent. Again, it's from the dearly departed Metrodome label. It's about 12, 13 years old. It's only a shorty. It's only about 17 minutes. But it's a great little film. I do like the director, Johan Roberts, who's gone on to make sort of more well-known stuff now, like 47 Meters Down and Strangers 2 he made. There's new Strangers out next week, isn't there? Yeah, it's a bit weird, isn't it? Didn't Rennie Harlan direct it? But yeah, this is one of his early ones that he made in this country called F. Again, it's a bit of a hoodie horror, but I liked it. I thought it was very, very good indeed. Got a director's commentary on. It's by him as well. And then this one is really cool. It's by a guy that you may well know called Philip Ridley, who made... I knew I'd forget the name of it. He made The Passion of Darkly Noon, which is one of my favourite films from the 90s, which I think got a great Blu-ray release in America. But here I do believe the rights are being held with a vice-like grip by Entertainment and Video. I know Arrow were keen to release it over here, but unfortunately they wouldn't relinquish the rights, which is just infuriating because you cannot get that film over here on anything other than VHS. Annoying. But this is Philip Ridley's film from 2009. Heartless. Very, very interesting film. A little bit Faustian, but an excellent, excellent movie. And nearly done. It's a great one. Resurrecting the Streetwalker. Cool film about a video nasty that never got finished. Called The Streetwalker. And it's a kind of faux documentary about. I thought it was really original, and quite interesting to boot. Another Johan Roberts film that I'd recommend called Storage 24. Well worth a look with Noel Clarke, who I'm sure you know. Oh, and Jeff Bell as well. Great British character actor. And finally, right down on the bottom shelf, if I can reach it. You Are Not Alone. Again, so many of these British indie horrors came with crappily generic sleeves by people like 101 Films. Sorry. But it's a shockingly generic Photoshop thing, isn't it? You know, when you look at what we have today with so many great painted artwork sleeves, and then for a period, this was the supermarket staple, just these generic sleeves that had no bearing on the films that were contained within. But yeah, this is a really decent film. It's directed by a lovely man called Mark Ezra. Mark Ezra, you may know him. He directed a really can't fit that back. He directed a really cool slasher film around about 1985. Would it be Slaughter High? Which Arrow put out on DVD, then Vestron put out in the States. And yeah, that was something he directed a few years later. It's a great little indie horror film. That deserves a look. Most people haven't seen it, which is a little bit annoying. Ooh, waffling on. Let's just skip now to a few what's-her-faces. Sleeping Giants. Threesome this week, all by the same guy, to a degree. It's Owen Allen. That famous producer of disaster movies. Again, these won't be for everybody, but I love an Owen Allen disaster movie. These are probably three of his lesser known ones. We have Hanging by a Thread, which is the cable car disaster movie, with a running time of 3 hours and 15 minutes. So yeah, if you have 3 hours and 15 minutes to spare and you want to see Patty Duke Astin dangling in midair and Cameron Mitchell and Donna Mills, then I thoroughly recommend Hanging by a Thread, which is not streaming in this country, which is outrageous. Again, with a slightly lesser running time, is his production of Cave In, which, funnily enough, is about a cave-in. Great little disaster movie with Leslie Nielsen and Ray Milland. So yeah, that's worth a look. And finally, his film of the night, The Bridge Fell Down, which is about. Yeah, I don't think I need to tell you that one. Great all-star cast: Leslie Nielsen again, Barbara Rush, not Barbara Bush, Desi Arnaz Jr. And yeah, it's good fun. Again, it's over 3 hours in duration. It probably pushes the boundaries of testing your patience, but I do like these for a Sunday afternoon matinee, or maybe a hungover Saturday. They're great watches, really. They're really enjoyable. So yeah, it's a pity that stuff like this isn't available. TV movies is a really big concern of mine, in the realm of streaming, and so many of them just aren't represented on streaming sites, which is a big concern. You know, so many of these streaming movies are really good films, so not to be represented on streaming and to be left on VHS and so early DVDs is a little bit worrying, especially when they're pretty cool and star-studded like these. But there we go. At least I have them here on physical media, available for everyone. Right, that is about it. Been on for about 14 minutes. Don't want to keep you a bit longer, actually. Don't want to keep it too long. And I quite would like some air at some point, as it's like a hot box. So yeah, thank you again for watching. As usual, you can follow on the usual places, or follow me on Twitter at the Dave Wain. Next week I hope to have a big stack of Alibris releases in, and yeah, a few more bits. So I've been on another week of decluttering my wish lists from various places like Amazon and eBay, so I should have a right stack of things to talk about, and a fairly decent week of new releases and boutique Blu-rays. So yeah, we'll see what this week brings, and I will see you again in 7 days' time.